even when the supply side issues are resolved. This is the pain we have to undergo, we have to wait for, but I do believe that the most important steps is always to make sure that we have fiscal space that can now allow us some flexibility to ride over the shocks. And that is going to be created by, first of all, resolving or profiling the debt that we have, having some concessional funding that is going to retire some of the most expensive domestic debt. And then from there, slowly the fiscal space will build up, supply side will come back, will be coming slowly back to the market, and then we can now start looking for how do we create fiscal consolidation. The president has already signaled some signals about fiscal consolidation. And this is something that will continue, but it will not continue until we resolve the crisis facing us, and then we resolve the debt issues. That's how I would approach it. It should be a short-term problem that can be solved, but it has to take a bit of time. Thank you, Majority Leader. Thank you for your fantastic questions. During my time, there is no bank that collapsed. I was governor of the Central Bank of Kenya from March 2007 to the beginning of March in 2015. That does not mean, Mheshimiwa Majority Leader Bwana Kimani Ichung'wah, that there were no problems. There were problems. But you have to make sure that you bring in or you develop new solutions and new interventions to save the market. And that's what we did. There were several mergers, but those mergers were actually geared towards preventing any collapse of the banks, because market situations do change. Some projections in marketplace can change. And so the regulator must know what to do. A regulator is not someone who is waving an axe in the market. A regulator is a person who is trying to understand the market, help develop the market, and the third one is regulate and protect the market. So those three dimensions are very, very important for a regulator. And that is what I did for most of the time that I was there. Now, of course, the affidavits that have come up, let me comment on them. One, the first point I would like to make, Mr. Chairman and honorable members who have asked this question, is that we want to stop at the first point of just mentioning what it is. We don't want to go further and see what has happened. The case, for example, for the procurement, I fought it through the courts to the Court of Appeal, and there was a judgment. The case of Grad Regency, I think the statement is that I was adversely mentioned. I was an agent of government, and this was a government-to-government sale, and I was the one to negotiate and to receive the payment, which was actually received by the government. And for your information, the end result was that it gained 3.114 billion shillings that was actually used in Lamu to dredge the port. The idea in government then was that such recovery from corruption proceeds should be used in fixed investments that would give Kenyans perpetual benefits. And that is how it was allocated there. There was a commission of inquiry that was started, but it was supposed to check whether the sale was appropriately done. Now, the whole issue was, how was it appropriately done? According to that commission, it valued the hotel at 1.8 billion. Then the question they were asked, what about the central bank? How did it value the hotel? It was at 2.2 billion. And then how much was the hotel sold by the central bank? It was sold at 2.8 billion. The difference between 2.8 billion and 3.114 is because of the retained earnings during the operations.